Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Sarvakarishu Sarvada Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Swaminarayanaya Namaha. Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to Shri Swaminarayan Spirituality. Welcome to swaminarayanspirituality.com. This is Sachin Karnik. Today is the 30th of September 2023. I'd like to offer my prostrations to Bhagwan, the Supreme Lord, and to all the great sages. And with that bhavana, we are continuing our examination of Shri Vachanamrutam of Bhagwan Shri Swaminarayan, Swami Sajananji Maharaj. We are examining the question of Maya as per the householder devotee Govardhan Bhai. And this is our continuing series on that question and the answer given by Shriji Maharaj. So to continue from where we were last time, Maharaj has talked about Dhyan. And of course, Dhyan is one of the steps in the eightfold yoga. You know, the eightfold yoga, the Ashtanga yoga. Ashtanga yoga means that there are 8 steps. Yes, so the way that this particular word Dhyan is used by Shriji Maharaj, he's using this word Dhyan in connection with the form of God. It is meditating on the form, on the Swarup, on the Roop and the Swarup, the manifested form in front of the devotee. Now, we've talked about this a little bit before, because Maharaj is using the word Murti. He says in Gujarati, and I'll translate everything in English for you, that Bhagwan no bhakta hoy tene Bhagwan ni murti nu dhyan karta. Je padartha adu avine avran kare, tene Maya kahiye. He's defining Maya. The definition is a very practical, useful definition because we can detect what is Maya. Rather than Maya being an abstraction or an abstract concept, it is directly detectable by the devotee who is attempting to connect with God. Because keep in mind that the perspective of Shriji Maharaj is that bhakti is the topmost state, bhakti upasana. Jnana, vairagya and dharma are protectors of bhakti. They are supporters of bhakti. So throughout Vachanamrut, it is all about the relationship between Bhakta and Bhagwan. This is the Vaishnava approach. You know, the Vishishtadvaita approach, the Dvaita approach, the Achinta Bheda Bhed, all the great acharyas have discussed along these lines. Yeah, so it's very critical to keep in mind in the study of Shri Vachanamrut that the entire series of discourses, which are questions and answers, they are all for devotees, for bhaktas, for mumukshus, for those who are seeking liberation, and particularly for devotees, for bhaktas. Of course, for everybody, no question about that. So the answers are also given along those lines. You know, Maharaj is saying that the dhyan, the meditation on the murti of Paramatma, of God. Now, this is a very great and beautiful way to approach God realization. You know, the step of dhyan in the Ashtanga Yoga, this is what we were talking about last time. Those 8 steps are yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, and samadhi. So dhyan is the 7th step in Ashtanga Yoga, which is a deep, uninterrupted flow of concentration. This is where the observer, that's the devotee, and the observed, that is the object of meditation, that is the murti in front, or the Satguru who is holding murti in front, this way. So the observed is the manifested being, manifested form, either in human form or actual, or just one of the 8 forms of murti. So it is a deep, uninterrupted flow of concentration where the devotee, the bhakta, and Bhagwan, they connect together. So they connect together where there is the oneness between the two. It's a meditative absorption. This is the thing to keep in mind. Meditation is obviously a great sadhana. Meditative absorption is the height of meditation on the murti. It's an absorption of the mind. It's an immersion within the mind. It's a soaking of our energies and our thoughts and feelings inside the Swarup of Bhagavan. This type of meditation, this has within it the 9 forms of devotion. So the bhakta is constantly doing 9 forms of devotion. The 9 forms of devotion are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. These 9 forms of devotion, Navada Bhakti, from time to time the devotee continues in this process because of love of God. And this 9 forms of devotion ultimately will cultivate into dhyan. So the 9 forms of devotion are the beginning stage. Then dhyan is a greater absorption in the form, that the form is real. And the form is the only thing real. Everything else is temporary and ultimately fleeting, transitory, and unreal. So there is a series of, they're called the padas, P-A-D-A. There's 4 pads. These are kirtans written by Premanand Swami, where Maharaj himself is speaking, but it's written by Premanand Swami. And in Gujarati it is written, Mujhe bhi na jaan jo re, bija mai ka so akar, priti tod jo re, jhootha jani kutumba parivar, mujhe bhi na jaan jo re, bija mai ka so akar, jiva ishwar tano re, काल माया प्रधान पुरुष सौने वश करू रे सौनो प्रेरक हूँ भगवान अगणित विश्वनी रे उत्पत्ति पालन प्रलय थाय मारी मर्जी विना रे कोई थी तरनु नव तोड़ाय. These are very famous lines in Swaminarayan Sampradaya. Every devotee knows these. Every devotee listens to them quite often. These are called the Orda Na Pada. What does it mean? I'll put it in extracted way for you. The essence of this is that the Murti of Bhagavan, the manifested Murti of Paramatma in human form or the 8 forms of Murti, this is real. Or real in the sense, from a Tattva point of view, consider that to be the only reality. Now what about the world? What about everybody else in the world? It's there, no doubt. God exists everywhere. Yes, that's true also. But every form is transitory. Every form is ultimately unreal. So the concept of dhyan, as far as this particular answer is concerned, that Bhagwan ni murti nu dhyan karta je padartha adu avine avaran kare, that whatever is obstructing this intermixing link with God, and this linkage is through the devotional practices, through bhajans, through kirtans, through the glory of God, through the different charitra of Bhagavan, of the Ishta Devatas. So many things are there. So much is involved in linking with Paramatma. Bhagavan ke saath link kaise karna. So this is what bhakti is all about. Bhakti is a intra-psychic, emotional, intellectual, energetic link with Ishtadevata. That is bhakti. And the eightfold path that discusses dhyan aims at the same thing. It aims at the same thing. So the different steps that are shown in the eightfold path. We talked about it last time. About the 5 different stages of yam. That is ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. These are 5 qualities that a sadhak needs to have to master the yama state. And without these qualities, how somebody can meditate? If somebody is speaking lies, is having violent thoughts and all that, there's the meditation, how long it will last? You see, it will not last that much. Now remember, these steps are difficult. In the second stage, I'm going to mention this, and then the bypass route shown in Garada Pratham 25, we talked about a little bit last time. I'll mention why that Maharaj has shown that why Bhakti Yoga is a bypass route that bypasses these steps and starts directly at step number 7. And just by starting at step 7 and staying there, one can reach enlightenment that way. The other way is this more difficult Ashtanga Yoga path. Now, bhakti in some sense is easier, but in some sense it's not easier also because the proper preparation is not there. So it's kind of a mixed bag. It depends on how one is progressing, what one's natural tendency is. But for most people, bhakti can be done. Bhakti is possible to do. The 9 forms of devotion, Nam Ratan, Japa Yagna, to taking the names of the Lord, different names of God in different ways. Can it be done? Yes. Even children can do it. This Ashtanga Yoga and all this is quite a tricky thing, particularly in the asana stage. The asana stage is really, really very tricky, and you'd have to have guru, because without the right gurus to teach the asanas, one can create problems for oneself, or even get stuck somewhere in those asanas. I mean, I don't mean just physically stuck, but they're just stuck at that level. I just want to cover this today further about the Eightfold Yoga, just as a background to understand the dhyan that Maharaj is talking about. That the step number 2, that is Saucha, Santosha, Tapas, Swadhyay, and Ishwar Pranidhan. So there's actually 5 steps within step number 2, 5 qualities within the second anga of Ashtanga Yoga. The Eightfold Yoga, the second anga, the second limb of the yoga is niyama. That's what it is called. That is self-purification and study. It has 5 components. And by the way, please do remember, true devotees are going to have these qualities. If the devotion is real, this automatically comes. You don't have to even think about deliberately doing this. I mean, people do, no doubt. But it happens automatically, because if Sachin is going to say, I love my Ishta Devata so much, I'm going to think about the Ishta Devata. I'm going to have cleanliness. Automatically, this wisdom is going to come out of my trying to connect with bhakti, and by studying the scriptures, that is the Swadhyay, all the knowledge is available of what to do, what not to do, how to connect further. And particularly when there is greater love, automatically bhajan, kirtan, study of scriptures, listening to the different sages, gurus, this interest develops substantially in Bhakti Yoga. It happens naturally. So that is we can say it's a bypass, but it has already embedded within all of these qualities. Now, what are these qualities in the niyama? Saucha, cleanliness. What is cleanliness? Why cleanliness? See, to keep the body and the mind clean and pure. Why is this? Let's use a very simple example. If we have invited some guests at our home, do we not vacuum the home? We vacuum the home, keep the kitchen clean, maybe put some nice fragrance, we dim the lights a bit, things are not thrown all over the place, trash is taken out. Isn't it so? If we invite special guests, very special guests at home, we want to make sure we're dressed well. It's very simple to understand this. This is the whole concept of shaucha. Shaucha is cleanliness of the body, the senses, the mind. It is cleanliness. Now, to understand this point, you will see that if we are meditating on God, and if the intention is to realize God, the impurities of the senses, impurities of the mind, these things need to be set aside. They need to be removed, filtered out, literally. Like a filter, like a water filter. So for example, I have at my home this Brita water filter. I had it actually, I didn't know that I had it, so I just opened it a few days back. And when I put the water in there and then it filters beautifully, the taste is so pure. All the impurities are filtered out, and I'm enjoying drinking the water even more because of the purity of the water. The water is always water, but the impurity is removed. This is a separation process. This separation of the impurities out of our mind, of our senses. This is essential for dhyana, for meditation to take hold in the mind, in the antakarana of the devotee, of the bhakta. So every quality in Ashtanga Yoga is useful and it is necessary. Otherwise, it's already within bhakti. See, this is called shaucha. Now, if you go further into shaucha, the cleanliness of vision, the cleanliness of hearing, what ought to be heard that doesn't disturb the connection with Bhagavan. If Sachin says, I want to connect with God, I can just say that. That may not mean much. But an actual, real connection with Bhagavan, if I want that, obviously I cannot be inputting all kinds of extraneous stimuli inside my mind, inside my brain, through my senses. If I keep doing that, I'm polluting my mind, disturbing my mind, disturbing the purity of the antakarana that is available to me through bhakti. Because bhakti is also a purifier. In the beginning, the 9 forms of devotion are a purifier of the antakarana. The Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu means God, Bhagavan Vishnu. Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam. Archana karni, Vandan karna. Vandan is to bow down again and again with the feelings of devotion and love. Dasyam, the servant attitude towards God. What do these do? They establish a connection with Ishtadevata, but they also simultaneously, the 9 forms of devotion purify the mind. Sriji Maharaj in Vachanamrut, I believe is Garada Antya number 9. Maharaj says very beautifully that the 9 forms of devotion will purify the mind, and the senses are purified. He gives 4 sadhanas for that. That is Swadharma, Vairagya, Tapasharya and Niyama. And this is what we're talking about here, about this Niyam and Yam, Niyam, all that. It has that, all 4 of those are in there. You see, so the senses need to be placed within a predetermined range of experience. This is of critical importance. Because if we don't do that, if they're just running in different places, then the senses will be dispersed. And it is a dispersion in so many different experiences of life. So a predetermined boundary needs to be established. That within this boundary, I will remain. Why is that? Because we want to reach that stage of dhyana. Think, for example, let's use the analogy of an airline pilot. Very easy to understand this. An airline pilot is sitting at home and has to fly the plane, from New York to California, let's say. How are they going to do that? The pilot is trained, everything is ready to go, no problem. But the individual who's going to go into the plane, they have to put on the proper uniform, make sure they haven't drank alcohol. So many things there are boundaries that they have to follow. They have to keep their attention on exactly what's going to happen. So there's a step-by-step process. They get in the plane, they check everything. They have to follow exactly the procedure of how to fly the plane. They have to remain within a boundary of experience. Now, when the plane begins to take off, they cannot simply say, well, now let's turn off the engine and let's change the direction of the plane. No. It doesn't work like that. It will cause a lot of trouble. Similarly, a sadhak that has set the destination for Bhagavan. This is why this question is asked by a householder devotee, because householder devotees were many during Maharaja's time. Because they have set this destination, they want to realize God. And by setting this destination, just as a pilot who says, okay, we've set the destination towards Los Angeles, we're taking off from New York, from JFK airport. Okay, non-stop flight across the country. Fantastic. But once they set the destination, they have to stick to that flight plan. Similarly, if a sadhak, a bhakta, sets the destination that we want to realize God, then all of these kinds of decisions have to be made about the range of experience. How to keep the senses within a certain range that are still going to allow the experience of the world, but also cut off different experiences that are causing contamination. Just like an airplane has, purified air, it has. You cannot open the window. You can see. There's a window there, but the passenger cannot say, "I'm going to, open the window." They cannot open the window. There is no button to open the window. It'll cause a massive problem in the plane if even one window opens. Particularly as the plane goes higher and higher. If a single window or any crack or something is there, it's a problem for the pressure of the plane. Similarly, as we begin to progress towards the Atma and Paramatma in dhyan, in meditation, because this is the 7th step, this is a very big thing. One becomes very much on guard about where these senses are going. Now, this point is very clearly and emphatically discussed by Shriji Maharaj in Garuda Pratham number 18 Vachanamrut. In Garuda Pratham 18, Maharaj has made a very intense statement. I don't think I've ever heard that kind of statement anywhere else in any scripture. He has made a statement in there stating that someone who may know the 4 Vedas, the 18 Puranas, the Mahabharata, the Gita, knows the scriptures inside out, but fails to establish a range of boundary of the senses, meaning that the 5 senses are just going any which way. They have not been purified, not placed within a certain range. Shriji Maharaj has stated that for such an individual, despite knowing the scriptures inside out, moksha cannot happen. Liberation cannot happen. It's a very powerful statement. It's Garuda Pratham number 18. This is why in the Swaminarayan tradition and in the Sampradaya today, with the multiple organizations that exist, all of them emphasize high ethics, morality. They emphasize limiting the kinds of experiences obtained through the senses, going to temples regularly, doing seva regularly, meeting with devotees regularly, doing ghar satsang regularly. That the senses are engaged in satsang more and more, and less in unnecessary activities in the world. This is a direct application of the Shikshapatri and Vachanamrut Garuda Pratham 18. It is a tremendous emphasis is there in this Swaminarayan tradition, particularly the lives of the bhaktas and devotees tends to be quite regulated this way. It's not about suppression, it's about deciding the range of experience so that the antakarana, Maharaj has mentioned also in Pratham 18, that the antakarana, the mind, is not going to reflect those contaminants. You see, so the contaminants that are coming inside, that has to stop. So for example, most people watch something on Netflix or Hulu or these different shows. We watch them all the time. But what is the effect on the mind by watching? That awareness needs to occur. What ought to be seen, what ought not to be seen, how far to see, and even if you see what's happening in the antakarana, because the mind is going to record the experience. The chitta, chitta, the chitta is going to record the entire experience. And then there is a qualitative, subjective evaluation and valuation. valuation. Valuation of the experience that the mind goes through. And then it remembers it so it gets fixed inside. These are the images that are coming from the outside. The external stimuli generate images inside the antakarana. There's a tremendous psychology in this. So before anybody can reach any type of dhyan, see, this is why Maharaj is so accurate in his answer, and this is why, again, I prefer to read the original Gujarati, because the translations just do not do justice. Simply because they're just, whatever reasons are, you have to have really proper exposition in English to thoroughly understand the actual Gujarati language. You see, so when Maharaj is saying, see, he says in Gujarati, Je padarth adu avine avran kare, tene maya kahiye. He's directly defined what is maya. Padarth meaning objects. But objects are of two types. There's the external objects inside our mind. There's the stored objects inside our mind also. So objects that are coming through our senses while we're awake. This is one part of this. You see? And there's so many different things actually that do come. They obstruct. It becomes an obstruction. It's an avran. Avran meaning it covers up the mental space, and that object, that situation, that event, that memory, that becomes predominant. Because we have so many memories of all kinds of things that have happened in our lives. See, this is why Gunatitananda Swami in the Swamini Vato has mentioned many times about Sankhya Vichar. That is also incorporated inside this word dhyan. There is so much in this, we could talk about it probably for the rest of our life. That's how, how much depth there is just in this one sentence. You see, Sankhya Vichar is to see that that our experiences of life, they're there, but nonetheless, the present is the reality. The memories are not who we are, and Sankhya Vichar means that it is finished with, it's done with. He said in Gujarati, he said, Sankh e aakh che. What a fantastic statement. That once you have mastered Sankhya, that means you're seeing, actually, you're fully awakened. One is not caught in the past at all. The past is not a place to be caught in. And the past will obstruct dhyan. The past will cause all kinds of difficulty within dhyan. The past will cause entanglement of the jivatma through the chitta and get lost inside the over-analysis of it. Which people like J. Krishnamurti and many other people on the Advaitic side, Advait Vedanta, as well as other people who are emphasizing just pure awareness, have talked a lot about this. And Shriji Maharaj has also talked a lot about this, and the other saints. So Maharaj is extremely accurate when he uses the word avran. Avran is a cover, and he says that it is for the devotee to recognize the obstruction. That's why the answer is given this way. Ki Bhagwan no bhakta hoy, તેને ભગવાનની મૂર્તિનું ધ્યાન કરતા જે પદાર્થ આડું આવીને આવરણ કરે તેને માયા કહીએ. The devotee can recognize, oh, this is Maya. And it is not a criticism of the objects. That should be clear also. No, there are memories, there are experiences that will pop up because inside the mind there's already so much content. And then because of our desires, we are putting even more content inside, again and again and again. And we have memories of the people with us, the experiences of life. We have full memories. We have to have them. But when we are trying to meditate on God, we have to keep all of those memories and everything else on the side. They still remain with us, but they don't obstruct the meditation, the dhyan on the murti of Paramatma, through the mantra, through different types of meditation. They don't cause the obstruction when there is great love and and great presence of God, and the flow of connection through bhajan, kirtan, manan, chintan. And so it is because when the devotee gets connected, actually, vritti, through the vrittis, through the thoughts and emotions and the antakarana vritti, once the connection is established, then the devotee gets tremendous blessing from that, and rasa from that, wisdom from that. So if the devotee is still in the sadhan stage, sadhan dasha, the vasanas will obstruct and pull the vritti away, disturb the vritti. But one has to cross that, continue further, and then a point comes where there is a transformation of the mind. The antakarana and the senses transform, and in that transformation there is then the establishment of dhyana. That is the beauty. And see, Maharaj is using this word maya here now. Why he says maya? He's saying that this is how we can detect what is meant by maya. And once we detect it, we can immediately separate it out. So bring the mind back, straight back into Bhagavan. And this is where to remember one's gurus, the sadgurus, the sadpurushas, the gunatit saints, beyond the three gunas they are existing, bring them inside. Pray to them. Think about them. There's a great love for them. What does that do? That allows for our antakarana to retract away from those objects that are obstructing and directly connect with the Ishta Devata further and further in upasana. So dhyan here also implies upasana. Upasana is this firm bhakti with 4 types of understanding, 4 points. That God is with form, sakar. God is sarva karta harta. God is the all-doer of everything. The all-doer, the all-destroyer, the all-creator, everything is God. That is sarva karta harta in Gujarati. And the third is that God is pragat, present in front of me. So God is sakar, pragat, sarva karta harta, and sarvopari. Sarvopari means sarva upari, the topmost. Any Ishta Devata one has should be considered as the supreme. That is how bhakti and upasana can be done. You see, that's the important thing. That is the power of having Ishta Devata. That doesn't mean that there's any disregard for other forms. It's not like that, other avatars. Bhagavan is only one. But for the devotion to catch hold, the Ishta Bhakti, Ishta Nishta, Ishta Ashray, that is necessary. That is also emphasized in Vachanamrut. It is a Vaishnava idea. Now somebody will say, wait, can that lead to fanaticism? Yes, if it's misunderstood. If upasana is misunderstood, it has led to fanaticism, narrow-mindedness, close-mindedness. These kinds of unfortunate side effects of misunderstanding upasana are present even in the world today. And they're present in every religion, every tradition. Because certain groups of people, they have taken hold of their particular path, and then to degrade others, to criticize others, rather than to learn from others, to see what the interconnections are, to grow with others. You see, if that is not there, that is not upasana, that is fanaticism. In Gujarati, it is called Kattarvad. It is also called Sankirnata. If I'm pronouncing that word correctly, Sankirnata, some word is there like that. It means narrow-mindedness. So the narrow-mindedness is an obstruction in dhyan. It may seem like you're getting a lot of energy because of this group of people that we're with, and they're all thinking in the same direction, criticizing others and thinking that they're better than everybody else. So there's a lot of groupthink psychology in that. But that is not realization. That is, as long as there is division with others, even though one should be steadfast in one's path, one's guru, whichever way one is going. Be steadfast, like the airplane going towards a destination. But never to criticize others unnecessarily. And that is a serious problem throughout the world. You can try to convince others, try to show others that we have something really extraordinary. But why criticize? Why put others down? That is ego only. So in the name of doing dhyan or worship or upasana, this ego obstructs. So these things are to be aware of. That is also Maya. That is another very important thing to understand, that is just another form of Maya. Okay, so anyway, I may have digressed a bit here, but I wanted to talk about niyam today, that the shaucha is the cleanliness. And see, when we think about shaucha, this is all cleanliness, everything we've talked about. The senses need to be within a range of experience. The mind needs to be purified, like the purified water. Like our thoughts. Our thoughts are there. Our emotions are there. But there's a purification process that a sadhak has to go through before the Atma Darshan can happen. Before the realization of the Atma and of Paramatma. Without that purification, it's not going to happen. Without that purification, there will be cloudiness of the mind, dullness of the mind, entrapment of the mind. The rajas gun, tamas gun, these gunas will predominate. There will be just rolling around in this mud of the sansar. The sansar has God everywhere, but the sansar is also evolution of ignorance and maya and bondage. So cleanliness, that is saucha. Again, one has to be careful with these qualities. Somebody will say, I'm very clean, I keep my house clean, my body clean, I take 2 showers a day, I do this. I. The ahankar, the me that comes behind this. If that is there, one is again trapped in Maya. This is a sadhana. Of course, when one is beyond body consciousness, then that's a different matter, I mean, there are sages body has to be kept clean, but one is completely outside of body consciousness. Those are the highest level paramansas. They have devotees that take care of the body. You actually need a couple of people to take care of that body. Otherwise, that liberated being may leave the body at any time. So there are those around to make sure that body is taken care of, and that Paramansa also has to maintain some attention to the body. And such high-level sages, they perform bodily action, but they are mostly giving blessings to others. Their presence is divine. Their presence is liberating. They're not like most of us. So somebody says even one word to us and we are inflamed. We're agitated by some situation in life. Somebody didn't do something. Somebody said something. Our own thoughts are going in some direction. Some memory comes up. This is all unripened mango state, like that, unripened state. But when a bhakta is fully ripened at the highest stage, then automatically God arranges that body to be kept, because different people come to take care of that body. That is arranged by God Himself. Because God functions through such a highest level paramansa, such a highest level sage. That is called Gunatit Santa. Just that, it's not by title. Anybody can put a title under their name or on their business card or something, that I'm a Gunatit. It's nonsense. It's not titles. It is the realization. You see, so the realization is everything. And in that realization, there is intense spiritual awakening where Shriji Maharaj uses this expression, Akhanda Alokik Panuvarte. It means that continuously there is transcendental realization. Alokik means transcendental, that which is beyond, those realities that are beyond, the different abodes of God that are beyond. Like in Akhanda Vritti, we talked about that, how the Jeev, Ishwar, Mahamaya, Akshara Brahma, Parabrahma, this Pancha Bheda, this is available to be seen, awakened, to be realized in Akhanda Vritti. The different abodes of God manifest for such a devotee. So even though the person is living here, but there is this beyond, that para state that is there, that manifests again and again and again. And that stage of realization is so intense. We cannot describe it. We cannot even imagine what it is. But it is there for the highest level of sages. So this is again, for us to even be connected to such sages is a big blessing. To recognize them, to love them, to be at their feet all the time, and of course respect everybody. But if one has guru or guru parampara, it should be very clear that the parampara is a shuddha parampara. It is a very clear parampara. There's no mixture of any kind. One has to check everything from all sides before any emotion is attached to any particular guru. You can learn from everybody, but to be emotionally attached to a guru as a means to realize God, as Maharaja said, drad priti, sat purush ne vishay drad priti. One has to be very, very careful to check, does the guru have 64 qualities? Of the saints? Does the guru have the 30 qualities written in Srimad Bhagavatam? Does the guru have all the different tremendously awakened qualities in the Bhagavad Gita? Is that person really having all of these things? And what is the presence like? Astitva. That speaks volumes. Naimik Sharanya Kshetra Vachanamrut. So these are all points about recognizing the guru. And again, the guru then is inside of us, that we identify with that state, and then these qualities come about. So again, maybe just to recap today, and because we could talk about this for many, many hours, there's so much to be said about this. But we could simply say this much, that the problem of Maya, quote problem of Maya, it doesn't become a problem anymore when one recognizes directly what is Maya and recognizes that the obstructive nature of it, and then simply separates away from that. Said, no, this is an obstruction. I don't want any obstruction in my devotion towards my Ishtadevata. I don't want any obstruction. And in that there is a continual relationship with the Ishtadevata. The worldly activities continue based on where we are and our desire structure, our vasanas and our mental states. On that basis, the intensity of connection is going to happen. In today's summary from today's reflection on Vachanamrut, the key point here is that Maya can be recognized by the devotee. This is the key point. To recognize it, to de-identify with it. If we recognize an obstruction, once we recognize an obstruction as an obstruction, leave it aside and continue the connection with Bhagavan, with Paramatma. This is the key point. And in doing so, Dhyan is then established. And in Dhyan, which is the 7th stage in Ashtanga Yoga, this is what we have been covering. Just a background. What is Ashtanga Yoga? What is the glory of Dhyan? And then, of course, Dhyan, not just on any object, but Dhyan on the manifested form of God, an incarnation of God. This is called Dhyan as per Maharaj. Maharaj says, Bhagwan ni Murti. The Murti of Paramatma. Now, sometimes people just use, like a stone or some other object or something. You can do that also. But if you do that with a feeling that is God, that's one thing. But sometimes people use an object just for concentration. Yes, you can do that too. But that type of dhyan is called nirbij dhyan. And this other type of dhyan that Shriji Maharaj is talking about is called sabij dhyan. Sabij dhyan meaning what? You're planting the seed is going to grow. This other one, yes, mind will become silent and it'll become still, like Buddhism. The Buddhism dhyan is nirbij dhyan. And actually to stop that, or not stop that, but to show its limitations, Shankaracharya ji specifically has talked about this, that he didn't completely refute Buddhism, but he said there is the Brahman that is actually there. Buddha didn't talk about the Brahman. He just said blowing out nirvana. That's it. There's nothing. He was silent on the subject. You see, but there is something, there is a tattva that is there. There is the Brahma tattva. Shriji Maharaj is even going beyond the Brahma tattva. He is saying the Brahma tattva is underneath the Parabrahma tattva. The Parabrahma tattva is the supreme beyond Akshara Brahma, as the Gita says in chapter 15. So there's the Shar, Akshar and Parabrahma, or Parabrahma Purushottama Bhagavan. This is in the Gita also, and Shriji Maharaj's perspective is along those lines. Otherwise, what will happen is that one can wind up in different kinds of yogic postures and in meditations, maybe even get to the chakras and things like that. But then the Ishta Devata, that there is no Ishta Devata at some point. Then the Ishta Devata is just forgotten. That can happen too. That has happened to people. So Maharaj's perspective is, do not lose sight of your Ishta Devata. Doesn't matter how far you progress. That the Swami in Vachanamrut, Vedras and other places, Maharaj has explained Swami Sevak Bhav. This has to be maintained all the time. And by the grace of God, God can absorb us into His being. That is Advaitic state in one sense. Yes, that's fine. But the devotee does not deliberately destroy upasana. This has happened quite a bit in the Advaitic path. That the upasana, kiski upasana karni, main hi hu, sab, only me, main hi hu. Kisi ki bhakti nahi hoti isme. Maharaj himself, who the devotees in Swaminarayan Sampradaya consider him as a human manifestation of Bhagavan Purushottam Narayan. But Maharaj himself is worshipping Sri Krishna. He has a puja. This is all there in the Vartal temple, Ahmedabad temple. He established Bhagavan Krishna's Archa Vigraha in 6 temples. He himself is doing 6 danvats every day. He's doing 100 pradikshana of Lakshmi Narayan Dev. He's listening to Srimad Bhagavatam. He's in the role of a Sadguru and devotee. He's teaching, but he's also in that. Why is he doing that? He could have simply said, okay, I'm the supreme. And you can find people, even today, if somebody is actually not the supreme, but you can still find people. You get 10 people, 15 people to say, whatever, all kinds of fraudulent things are always going on in this world. That doesn't mean anything. The beauty of Shriji Maharaj's entire manifestation is that he has shown in his life all the stages we need to go through. As a devotee, as a bhakta, as a yogi, as a sadhak, as a mumukshu, as a siddha, all these stages, you will see throughout his life, right from a sadhak stage all the way to that end point that I am the supreme. That entire range of development is shown in the life of Maharaj. So we'll stop here for now. Otherwise, this could go on for the whole night. So we'll stop here for now. Okay. Hari Om.